Hello everybody, it's Kristi Laughlin and I'm going over my genogram. We're going to go over the key first. For a male, it's going to be a square, female circle. For the birth date, it's going to be recorded in the upper left-hand corner. For the age, it's going to be recorded in the center. For marriage, a solid connecting line here with the marriage date here. To represent death, it'll be an X through the center with the date of the age they were when they died, and then the birth and death date above it. Cutoff will be represented by two red lines that are not connected with the parallel line showing no connection there. Divorce with two purple parallel lines going through it, with the marriage date on one side and the divorce date on the other, if I know it. Physical abuse is represented by the orange jagged line. Emotional abuse by the green jagged line. For close relationships, it's two purple lines connecting. And distant relationships, it's two dotted lines in yellow. Not a solid connection. To represent the index person, two circles, which is me. And then to represent alcohol or drug abuse, a solid black line, horizontal black line through it. To represent my culture, and we have blue for German, yellow for Dutch, coral for Eastern European. For a missing or unknown, missing information or missing people or unknown information, we have a question mark. To represent breast cancer, we have a pink ribbon. For diabetes, a green triangle, and hypertension or heart problems, red heart. Let's go over my grandparents, great grandparents first. I do not know my father's side of things because my father disappeared in 91 and nobody knows where he is. And my grandfather died in 91. And my aunt, who I got all the information from, just met her father a few years before he died. So she also doesn't know all of this information. So that is why this information is missing. My father's grandmother, or my father's mother's grandparents, were married in 1931, and they remained married until the death of my grandfather in 1977, and he was 65. My grandmother died in 1985 at 72. She had diabetes. Okay, and then let's go over and talk about my great-grandparents on my mother's side. Again, my mother's mom married. That man disappeared, and the aunt, who I got most of my information from, knows nothing about him. So the missing information here on that side. My grandmother, her parents were married from 1921 until the day my grandfather died in 73. He was 73 years old, and my grandmother died in 1983, and she was 83 years old. Both born in 1900, which I thought was very interesting. As you can see, mostly German on both of these counts, with a little bit of Eastern European in this one and a little bit of Dutch on this side. So let's go over my grandmother on my dad's side. She married my grandfather, divorced him, married another man, divorced him, went back and remarried my grandfather. This is really hard to follow, you guys. And then divorced him again and remarried 2 more times. In that process, they had my Aunt Terry, which is where I got a lot of my information from, and my Aunt Pam, in this relationship, she passed away in 2003 at the age of 50, as you can see here, because of drugs and alcohol. Then they had these two siblings. In this marriage, my Uncle Rodney was 2 months old when he passed away of unknown causes. And then my Aunt Tracy, who is 62. In this marriage, they had my Aunt Shannon, who passed away this year, who also struggled with drug and alcohol addiction. I don't know if I went over this. My grandma had alcohol problems. She also had diabetes and breast cancer. My grandfather married and had my Uncle Donnie, and divorced and married again. And we don't know where all those people are. So, as you can see on this side of the family, there is a lot of emotional cutoff. There was abuse from this stepdad towards my dad. It was physical abuse and towards my Aunt Terry and towards my grandma, and then my grandma also towards my Aunt Terry. There was a lot of emotional cutoff going on here. My dad took me away from all my family members, and I didn't get to know them until I was an adult and made that effort. So I have represented here a lot of emotional cutoff between him and his mother, him and his siblings. Again, there's emotional cutoff between the siblings. These siblings don't talk. This aunt doesn't talk to me because I talk to this aunt. When she was alive, these two didn't talk. There's some physical abuse between my dad and me, and and emotional abuse here. You can see that represented. My Aunt Terry also has had breast cancer. And I have hypertension, which possibly came from over here. I gotta show you the two emotionally close to my Aunt Terry here. And then, so my dad got married again and had my half brother, whose mother took him away when he was 6 months old, and actually I just met him a couple years ago. And so that was a great thing, but I just put us showing a distant relationship there. All right, let's go over to my mother's side of the family. So my mother's mom, married, divorced, married again, had my Uncle Robbie, that was the first marriage. My oldest uncle died when he was 64 in 2015, and he also struggled with drug and alcohol addiction, along with my grandmother struggled with alcohol addiction. They had my mother, who had passed away when she was 40 because of alcohol and drug addiction. She passed away in 95. My grandmother then married again in 1957 and had my two aunts, my Aunt Chris and my Aunt Beth, and my Uncle Robert, who both struggle with heart problems. They are 68, 64, and 61. Their father died at 83 in 2000. As you can see, that all three of these siblings are very close, and I consider myself to be in a very close relationship with all three of those siblings. Again, my Aunt Beth told me as much as she could about family. My mother married again and had my sister in 1980. She's 45, and my mother divorced him before she passed away. So my sister and I are very close in relationship, and yeah, so the concept mostly that I wanted to talk about was the emotional cutoff. My dad took me away from all my family members, and I was raised only by him. I just wanted to read the definition of emotional cutoff. It reflects a problem of generational fusion, but solves a problem while reducing anxiety that comes with uncomfortable contact, and creates a problem by separating people from important relations, intensifying fusion in the remaining relationships. So I feel like my dad left this family because of all the chaos with all the marriages and the physical abuse. And he cut himself off from everybody in the process, isolating me and cutting me off and creating fusion between us, which I rejected later. And anyways, so we need to talk about a strength. I feel like I'm just very resilient. And I feel like there's strength on this side of the family, and that my aunts and my uncle here have brought me and my sister into the fold, and just loved on us and taken care of us. And anyways, so I think that covers everything. Yeah. So the emotional cutoff is a Bowen family systems theory. And I think that's it. Thank you. Bye.